Hello, everyone, and this is Raymond Moore, and I want to thank you today for joining this edition of Raymond Moore Speaks on Wise Talk Radio. So, as we get started, I'd love for you to click on the share button, click on the like button, let your friends know we're on today. So, today, one of the things I want to talk about is the power and the importance of passion. The power and the importance of passion. So, a few weeks ago, we talked about purpose. And so today I want to talk about passion. And when we talked about purpose, we talked about its importance and reaching your destiny, the importance of purpose and how essential it is to helping you to get to your destiny. So today we're going to discuss in some detail the concept of passion. Now, we will discuss what being passionate is. And what does it mean when we say someone is passionate about something? So here's what I think is wrong with many people in the world today. They lack passion, plain and simple. People just lack passion. They think and they move at snail's pace most of the time. They appear to be on automatic in a lot of activities that they're engaged in. And for the most part, they have a bleak outlook on life. Now, oftentimes, passionless people, they appear dead during the week, and you know who those people are, right? And they come alive on Friday afternoons. Now, why is this? You got to ask yourself the question, why is this? And I believe that some people have a flawed perception of reality, and they believe that life is fundamentally difficult with endless challenges. And that's true for some people, not for everybody. And here's the thing. Some people have convinced themselves that the world is populated by the haves and the have-nots. And they have relegated themselves to the group of the have-nots. See, therefore, they cannot conceive themselves as ever being happy or fulfilled or accomplishing their dreams. So they don't exhibit passion in just about any area of their lives. Some people lack passion in their lives because they've become pack rats of sort. Now, what do I mean by pack rat? They have so many activities in their lives that are causing clutter. They're people, they have so much baggage in their lives, and this leaves no room for another activity. There is no area of improvement that they can see because every room in their lives is simply packed with everything that has nothing to do with where they're going. Even if this new activity would be brought to fulfillment and bring them some sense of balance and some sense of security, there's no room for it. There is no room for it, ladies and gentlemen. And so it's essential then that we start to talk about what is passion, how do we get it, how do we develop it. Now, some people are so negative in their thinking that they'll never give themselves really a fighting chance to be passionate about anything, no matter what it is. Even if it could potentially improve their lives, improve who they are, and give them a more positive outlook on life, they'd rather stay where they are. Now, I know that doesn't describe you. I'm pretty sure that's not you. You've been listening to this program. You've been getting fed through this program for some time. So I know that's not you. You already have passion, or you want to develop more passion, and you want to give yourself a fighting chance to succeed at your dreams and your goals. But here's the thing. Most people lack the passion to such degree that dragging themselves out of bed itself is a chore. I don't know if, recently I spoke to someone who told me that they're always late for work. They're always late because they hit the snooze button so many times. And matter of fact, this individual told me they hit the snooze button a minimum of 5 times. So they know they need to be out of bed at 6:30. And they hit the snooze button as soon as it comes on. And they hit the button 10 minutes later and 10 minutes later and before you know it, it's 7:30 when they need to be at the house by 8 o'clock. So now they're rushing. See, recently I had a funny conversation with someone else who recently said that the only thing that was stopping him from smashing his alarm clock at 6 a.m. in the morning, it's because it's his cell phone. Now, most of you would throw the alarm clock out the door, but you're so connected to your cell phone, you're like, okay, let me just deal with it for a little bit longer. Now, I want to share something with you, and I don't want you to think I'm talking politics. I simply want to make a point of something, and I want you to hear the point. Now, if you recall the 2016 presidential election, one of the candidates, one of the Republican candidates, was described as really the next president of the United States. This individual had a ton of cash, and he was described really as the what they call the establishment candidate. And the election was really his to lose. And that was an article that I read where they said it was his to lose, which meant it was literally in the bag for him. Then our current president came on the scene, and he was compared to, in that particular article, he was compared to the smart aleck, irreverent Bart Smith, compared to Jeb Bush's drearily adult Principal Skinner. Now, if you've ever watched The Simpsons, you know who I'm talking about. Now, all the early promise that was there for the Bush campaign simply just vaporized because President Trump tagged him as low energy. And the campaign at the time was so fragile that it landed with a devastating thud. Now, think about this for a second. Even if you have everything lined up for you, a lack of passion will derail your destiny in a heartbeat. I can promise you that. You gotta have passion. You gotta have passion, and you gotta develop that passion, and you gotta show it. You know, my cousin was telling me recently that she was at a risk manager's event, and so the opening speaker in the morning was very high energy. He was excited, and he got everyone pumped up, and some people didn't appreciate that because this was in the morning. And people just didn't want to be bothered with, let's get up and let's shake our neighbor's hand and let's high five somebody and we're all excited. No one wants that in the morning, especially if you haven't had your morning coffee. No one really wants that. But she said the room eventually got excited and you could feel the energy. So when she got on stage and it was her turn, she was like, "Hey everybody, how are you? Good morning. We're all excited. We're going to have a fabulous time." And it turned out that his excitement had rubbed off on her to the point that when she did her presentation, it was more lively, it was more exciting, it was more energetic. And this is what the world is really looking for. So I want to ask you this question. What really is passion? See, passion is energy, I believe, that is derived from discovering and pursuing your purpose. No purpose, no passion. No purpose, no energy. So I think those things come from figuring out who you are. Now, passion comes bundled with commitment, it comes bundled with motivation, and as a result, you're not easily derailed or distracted from your pursuit of excellence when you are passionate and it's combined with your purpose. See, people who impacted history the most has this unique characteristic about them. You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen? They're passionate. They were passionate about what they did. See, passionate is the attitude that says to life, "I will live you until I'm finished with you." See, disappointment won't derail me because I have passion and I have purpose. You see, hurts won't hinder me. Why? I have passion and I got purpose. Negativity won't negate me, or rejection won't repel me. Why? Because I'm passionate about where I'm going and what I'm doing. And that's what you have to develop, ladies and gentlemen. It is so important. And I hope you're saying to yourself, that's talking to me. That's referring to me right there. Don't sit back and say, well, I know what I'm doing and I don't need passion. You see, people with passion, they possess a deep sense of enthusiasm. They have this deep sense of excitement about their purpose. They're usually deeply engaged in the thing that they're pursuing. That's people with passion. See, when someone is passionate, they're said to have this intense feeling of belief about something or someone. That's passion. See, if you think about Scripture, Jesus was so passionate about going to the cross that no one could deter him. Think about this for a second. He had the ability to step back and to pick another way. But he chose to go to the cross, knowing what the end result was going to be, knowing the suffering that was ahead. He made a decision to do that. Now, my question to you, how passionate are you about your dreams and your goals? See, it's time for you to put a demand on your own potential. Stretch your imagination, ladies and gentlemen. Stretch yourself. Don't sit back and say, hey, it's never going to happen for me. You see, there's a notion that when someone finds a reason to live, they will ultimately move in the right direction and live with the sense of purpose. I want to suggest to you that instead of finding a reason to live, find a purpose to die for. Too many people is like, oh, well, I'm living for this, I'm living for that. I'm living for retirement. Find a reason. This is something you can die for. You can live your whole life and you know that you're willing to give everything to die for this thing. Here's a problem with the world today. Most people can't truly be effective because they have nothing that they believe in to the extent that they would die for it. You see, I want to ask you this question. Have you found something that you're willing to die for, ladies and gentlemen? That business, that charity, that startup, that scholarship, that missions, whatever it is, that thing that... See, what is that thing that you're willing to lose sleep over? Maybe that makes sense if I put it that way. What is that thing that you're willing to sweat for? You're willing to work tirelessly for it. You're willing to endure ridicule for it. Someone once said, it's the thing that you wake up early and you lose sleep over it, and you don't eat food because of it. You forgot that you were hungry and you gave up family gatherings because of it. So what is that thing? See, when you develop passion, that drives you to accomplish that thing. So what is it for you? What is it? You have to decide. I can help you to get to a decision, but once you get to that decision, now there's work involved. See, if you've not identified that thing, then I believe you're living without passion, ladies and gentlemen. You see, Henry Ford said years ago that most people are dead by age 21. They're simply waiting for the rest of their body to catch up. I'm going to encourage you today, don't settle for mediocrity, because good enough is never good enough. You hear what I'm saying? Good enough is never good enough, ladies and gentlemen. You can't assume that simply because you have a high school diploma that's good enough. It's all the education you need. You can't assume that simply because you have a bachelor's degree that's good enough. You can't agree or determine that simply because you make $50,000 a year that's good enough. You can't even determine that simply because you've led one person to the Lord that's good enough. You have to be better than you are. Every day is about self-improvement. Every day is about stretching for the new goal. Every day is about being passionate. I want you to ask yourself this question. How much of what you're sowing in your life, whether in your thoughts or in your actions, how much is bearing fruit or just growing weeds? Ask yourself that question. Because some people think they're productive when in reality they're not really productive. They're procrastinating. They're lazy. They're making excuses. See, obligate yourself today to do something bigger than you. What are your obligations in life? The thing that you know, that you feel, that you believe that you must get done. What are the things that you've obligated yourself to do in life that cancels out all your excuses. Think about that for a second. All your excuses get canceled out when you see this one thing. See, no money no lack of money will cause you to not move forward. No lack of experience will cause you to not move forward. Lack of supporters, fine. No cheerleaders, fine. You're still going to find a way. No experience, no problem. You're still going to find a way. Now, I want to talk to you about just a little story. Maybe most of you knew who this individual was. And I read this article, and in this article, they were asking this particular individual what made her turn her cookies into a business. Now, if most of you have probably heard of or eaten Mrs. Fields cookies. Now, she had worked since she was age 13, and she remarked in the article that she spent her first paycheck buying real butter, real chocolate, and real vanilla. And I'm like, wow, at 13. Most kids would be going to the mall to go buy, clothes or something just for personal entertainment. And so she said that she spent 2 years in junior college before she got married to her first husband. Who was at the time trying to start an investment company, and she was quite happy at the time as a housewife. But one night she went to dinner she said she described this house as beautiful but intimidating. And it was a client that her husband was trying to get as a permanent client. And so they were invited over to dinner. And so the man asked her, so what do you do for a living? And she replied, I guess she was trying to be intelligent or something, but she replied, I'm just trying to get myself orientated. And he got up and he pulled this enormous bound leather dictionary off the shelf, and he just kind of dropped it in her lap, and he said, the word is oriented. It's not orientated. And he says, if you can't speak the English language, you shouldn't speak it at all. That just crushed her. That literally crushed her. She said she was just incredibly embarrassed about it, and sitting there in the library with tears running down her cheeks, she realized that she wanted to be somebody. She didn't just want to be a housewife. And by the way, if you're a housewife, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm simply saying for her, she wanted more. And she realized that there's someone else inside of her that needed to come out. She could hear her father's voice telling her that wealth was doing what she loved. And here's the thing. Most people think wealth is just about money, but oftentimes wealth is more than money. So here's what she did. That night, she gathered herself together and she set out to become somebody. And when she shared the idea of turning her cookies into a business with her family, they thought she was crazy. They told her she didn't have any money, she didn't have any education, she had no experience. But hearing them made her only more determined. Hearing them saying she couldn't and telling her all the reasons why she couldn't made her more determined. She started going to banks, asking for a loan. She would bring her business plan and she would bring her cookies. And they would look at the plan and they would eat her cookies and they would tell her thanks but no thanks. And she started waking up every morning telling herself, somewhere out there, there's a person who wants to say yes to me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was back in the late 70s. She kept bringing her cookies. She kept sharing her dreams. And finally, she managed to secure a loan from a bank who believed in her. But here's the interesting thing. That loan was a 21% interest loan. Nonetheless, she was thrilled. Let's fast forward years into the future. Since then, since the 70s, her personal net worth has grown to over $65 million. And her company has grown to over 300 franchise stores in the United States and over 22 countries. Now, this is what passion can do, ladies and gentlemen. She didn't give up because her family told her no, and all the banks that told her no, she didn't give up. So I'm going to encourage you today, never, ever give up on your dreams. You see, people with passion never focus on retirement. They never focus on taking it easy. When you're passionate about what you do, you work long hours. You don't even think about it. Sometimes you even forget to eat, as I said earlier. Why? Because you have a cause. So my question to you is this: what is your cause today? What fuels you? What fuels you, ladies and gentlemen? Don't allow the day, this particular day, to pass by until you decide where your passion will be focused to make you a value, or to make, for you to make a contribution to society, a contribution that is valuable and important. Don't step back. Too many people are stepping back and they're waiting for someone else to take charge. They're waiting for someone else to step up. And they're waiting for someone else to make the first move. See, this world's looking for leaders, ladies and gentlemen, leaders with passion. I wrote something on a board recently, and someone said, "Oh man, I'm going to copy that." And what I wrote on it is, leaders, great leaders, create great leaders. And as much as great leaders can create great leaders cannot make anyone passionate. Passion is something that you have to decide. You have to decide that when it's 5 o'clock in the morning and everyone's sleeping, you're going to get up early and start working on your dream. You have to decide that 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, when other people watching their favorite movie, or they're going out to dinner, they're hanging out, you are working passionately on your dream. So I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that today this has blessed you. I would ask you to share it and to like the page. And if you're ever looking for a speaker for your organization, for your church, reach out to me. My name's Raymond Moore. You can find it on Raymond Moore Speaks. My contact information is there. Reach out to me and we can talk, because my goal each week as I get on the air is to inspire you, to inspire yourself to be the best that you can be as you pursue your God-given goals. Have a fabulous Saturday.